I think a consistent theme with all of the Lonely stores has been about creating kind of a world within a world. Yeah, it's very sanctuary-like. That's always the aspiration for these stores, and I think that's natural to the process of buying lingerie, trying on lingerie. My name is Rufus Knight. I'm the director at Knight Associates, and I was the design lead on the Lonely Melrose project. The brief for the space was to create a retail store. It was like a sanctuary, to create layers of intimacy, which is what we've done on the stores to date. And the intention for this store was to create, a very calming sort of atmosphere. People feel comfortable with the process of trying on lingerie. The store is located on Melrose Avenue, which is just a block back from Melrose Place. So it's a really vibrant retail precinct, a lot of foot traffic, a lot of traffic in general. It's part of the city of West Hollywood, so there's really interesting sort of historical touch points in that same area as well. A lot of classically designed buildings, interiors. It was basically a blank canvas. It was an old warehouse or loft space that had really beautiful top light, open rafters, and it was a beautiful industrial space that we had carte blanche to work with for the retail space. You start through a set of doors coming into the space, and then you're sort of presented with quite an open area which has like a big flagstone paved floor. This was sort of designed as like a welcome space or a hosting space. Then you sort of move through two other spaces, the first of which is like a retail space. It's more traditional, more focused on sort of display and transaction. And then the third space at the very back of the store is more about creating a space for changing rooms and sort of, private shopping experience. And then right at the back of the store, there is a sort of administration, bathrooms, and a small office. We're very fortunate that Steve and Helene, our clients, were based here, so a lot of the design was done with our team in our studio in Auckland. I visited the site twice, I think, before we started the build, and Steve, our client, was actually based there towards the end of the project. So he was the one delivering the design at the end and ensuring that all the details were met. The design was influenced by Los Angeles through, I think, the natural materials like the stone, the plaster, the timber. We tried to work with materials that we felt had a familiarity for that sort of Californian look and feel. We worked with a lot of local joiners and local artisans. I think we really relied on their expertise with materials and finishes that were local to, California. Steve and Helene were very influenced by, I think, some experiences they'd had in the desert as well. Southern America. So yeah, we tried to bring that sort of naturalness into the store. Yeah, the dialogue between using hard and soft materials is really about creating an intimacy and a sort of tactility with the customers. We always want the spaces to say something romantic, but in a modern vocabulary. So this dialogue between hard and soft surfaces is really important. I think the key thing for the Lonely Melrose store, which we explored in all of the Lonely stores we've worked on to date and other retail stores, has just been about creating these layers within the store for different functions to exist. So one of the key design moves at Melrose was the introduction of these operable timber screens, which are made from an elm with a sort of duckboard texture, like a slatted timber. And they give you the ability to sort of close each section of the store down. So you could just have a hosting event in the front space without having access to the rest of the store, or you could just have a retail experience, or if someone comes in for like a private shopping experience, you can essentially close the whole store down, or just the dressing room, changing room part, and it becomes a very intimate experience. The furniture that was used in the space was actually all procured by our clients, Steve and Helene. It was mainly sourced from vintage merchants along Melrose Place. The furniture complements the interior because it's got a sort of worn quality. Yeah, there's evident signs of use in the vintage pieces, and I think that adds to the sort of tactility of the material palette. Lighting design in retail is incredibly important. With this project, we work with Zuno as a design partner. The front of the store has a huge amount of natural light coming through, and I think that was the space that we intended people to use and gather, and for there to be sort of events and hosting. Whereas when you enter further back into the space, it becomes a little bit more discreet. The lighting is more spotlit. It has that museum-like quality. But then the interesting thing is there are some big skylights in the space towards the rear, one in the changing room and then one in the retail space. So we tried to use those as much as possible, just to bring natural light through and across the garments. Steve and Helene have such great design sensibilities themselves. It's always a very collaborative process. It's always very supportive. I think that they are a brand that's not afraid to try different things, push the boundaries, especially in a design sense. And I was very proud of them for making the step into the US market. It's not a easy thing to do. It's not a cheap thing to do. Yeah, they put a lot of themselves into this project, and I think that, they were committed. Yeah, absolutely. I think that we probably have a joint ambition of being based in New Zealand but having global aspirations. And I think this project was a good chance to try and execute it on a world stage. And I'm really proud of what we've done. I'm really proud of the commitment from the whole team. But we were fortunate to work with a really good local architect as well, Lara Hope, and a very great main contractor on the ground in Los Angeles. And I think that, it was certainly a team effort. I'm most proud of probably the team with this project. There was a lot of complexities to overcome that were out of our control over the time period. And I think we had a very committed team and a very committed client. And I think that that's probably what I'm most proud of. The other thing I would be proud of is just seeing a New Zealand brand execute a store, in this location. It's a very prestigious location and at this level of quality. It's very impressive. Yeah, I feel very humbled.